I just taught the most wonderful workshop yesterday to a group of students and parents on note taking at a local high school. And I thought in today's video, I would unpack what I taught, why it was so successful, and how I did it. Are you an educator who'd like to learn from my example? Let's dig in. Okay. So first of all, I'm just letting myself be cozy today. So I hope you don't mind watching me laying here on my couch. But I'm exhausted from my speaking gig yesterday, and I was laying here thinking about the YouTube channel and just noticing that the workshop was so good. Like in 50 minutes, I was able to take this group of 70 people through an intro to the two basic steps that any good note-taking system needs, according to my anti-boring approach, and practice how to do those two things, and give so many concrete examples that felt doable to students that by the end, I asked them to post in an online place what their takeaways were, and their takeaways were so phenomenal. So I thought I would, I made a bunch of little white boards here, like this one. So this is an example of one takeaway a student made. I want to hone my notes for my hardest class. So note honing, if you don't know what that's a reference to, is the process of going over your notes after you've already taken them and gleaning, sharpening, pulling the most important pieces from it and making your notes your own. So that's what I mean when I say note honing. And I suggested at the end, it's very important to me to make sure that students understand that you don't have to do anything I'm saying perfectly, right? No perfection allowed. Instead, we want to just grab a small, teeny tiny next step and make and practice, experiment with that next step. And if all you want to do is practice honing your notes in your hardest class, that's a great teeny tiny next step. You don't have to do it in all your classes. So that was one takeaway. I've got about 6 of these. Another takeaway that I love is that the student wants to take Hone It notes on the bus or at home after school. And I love that they thought about the idea of on the bus. That shows that the way that I was teaching helped them not just learn in the moment, but help them imagine into their daily lives and how to actually put some of these note-taking tips into practice. And I'll unpack a little bit later how I was able to do that, because I think that's helpful for those of you who are educators and really care about helping students walk away with practical skills from your coaching sessions or classroom teaching or whatever it is that you do as an educator. So this was really cool that they on their own thought about, I can do it on the bus. Like what a great incremental way to do 10 minutes of gleaning from your classes that day. Okay, this student said I will focus on listening more and copying less. That's wonderful. And I did make the point at some point in the middle there. I think one of my skills is inserting relevant stories in a way that that is different than the tip I was just sharing, but that alerts student, oh, this is different. Something just changed. I want to hear this. And one of the side stories that I hadn't planned to tell was about a student, a 6th grader I was working with, who realized that when he was taking notes, he wasn't listening to the teacher. It didn't even occur to him to understand the teacher. He was just trying to write down every freaking thing the teacher said, right? And so that point alone, just listen when you're taking notes. It might seem fundamental, but students don't often think of it. So what a thrilling takeaway. Okay, I like this one. Make my note-taking more fun. Of course. Like, if it's not fun, then we're not going to want to do it. And there can be so much pleasure in good note-taking. Unfortunately, I think teachers take the pleasure out of note-taking. But what's great about note-taking is it's a major opportunity for you to make the information you're learning your own, to have your own system, to have your own secret code, that's really exciting. So this is a wonderful takeaway. I want to hone the way I like to for myself. Oh, this made me so happy because I think the way many people teach academic skills makes it seem like you have to be less of yourself. We're trying to be smart, and smartness, the way smartness looks in schools, is it takes me further away from my me-ness. And so I love that the student really got from the way I presented that you get to do it the way you like for yourself and for nobody else. Like that is rockin'. I wish I knew who these students were so I could follow up with them. Okay, this last one might seem more mundane, but I love it for its concreteness. I want to date my notes. Amazing! If that's like all they take away, that would be huge, actually. And then I also want to try to make them more visual with boxes and arrows. So again, simple, but if a student is starting to think about doing boxes and arrows, that means they're starting to think about the quality of the idea that's on the page and marking that in these visual ways. And that is huge way to build your metacognition muscles. So celebration about all of these takeaways. So how did I do it? I'm not going to give you the outline, although it's a pretty kick-ass outline, and, take my courses and join my community, and then you're free to have the outline if you would like it. But what I am going to unpack, which is maybe more important for those of you following my channel, because if you're here on YouTube, you're probably really interested in how do we, as educators, inspire students to do anything differently, right? And so part of my work is to notice my quirky, unique way of showing up in the world and unpacking it to help other people understand how they might be more of themselves as educators. And I think, so here's my little whiteboard. Here's what I think happened in the talk last night, which made it so successful. First of all, I was unabashedly myself. I do have energy, I'm quirky, and I let my quirk shine on that stage. I also taught a clear and simple model. 2 steps, that's all. 2 steps, easy peasy. And again, if you want to learn more about my steps, enter my world. I have a great free email course thingy for educators, gretchenwegner.com/study, that introduces you to my anti-boring approach to studying. And it includes a nod to some of the note-taking content that I taught in this workshop as well. So check that out. But that's the clear, simple model that I taught. It's memorizable in the course of an evening. Then I didn't just teach it, but we practiced together. I made time. I gave them a little mini lecture about my life history, and they had to take notes. And I caught them making a few note-taking mistakes from the stage, right? Because I know note takers. And then I pointed it out, and I had them practice something different, and it was fun, and there was laughter, and there was like, oh God, you caught me. Related to that, I help students notice. It is a skill that I have that I try to model in my anti-boring educators community, and I think it's a learnable skill that turns you from a good educator into a great educator. To pause and help students notice what's happening right now. How's your brain thinking right now? What's happening on the page if you're taking notes right now? How are you learning? And to pause in these little quick bite-sized ways and help them notice. And the better we notice, the better we can think and learn. And I infuse moments of noticing into my presentations. And then this last part here is I built in a lot of choice. Although it was a clear model with 2 steps, you can apply those 2 steps in a myriad of ways, depending on how you want to and what lights you up. And I was really clear about that, about how you can be more yourself. Down here, this is where I'm trying to point. You can be more yourself because there are choices. And I modeled being myself so that the students could feel free to be themselves. And I showed how you can marry the tools, the 2 steps, into your personality and your interests. And I think that's one reason why the students were able to walk away with such rich reflections after just a 50-minute presentation, right? So I wish you out there, educators watching this video, I just wish you a journey of being more and more yourself. You don't have to be like me, right? Not everybody has my energy. Not everybody has my quirky lens on the world. But the more you can unlock who you are and let that radiate out for students and then teach a clear toolkit, the more you are going to feel that satisfaction of students who really get it and who really take off and who really integrate what you're teaching in their lives. Once again, if you want a window into my toolkit, head to gretchenwagner.com/study. Please feel free to like and subscribe this video and to this channel if you are moved to. It helps me out so much. And I'll see you in my next video. Oh, I crack myself up. Bye, you guys.